Instant gratification is like this invisible drug that we latch onto to fulfill our ego, our pride, or our need for approval, whether that's scrolling, texting back that ex, downloading dating apps, seeking male validation, attention. Whereas with long-term gratification, it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes trust, but also discipline. And that's the thing with us humans, we expect results and validation immediately. And because I've been on my self-love journey, learning the difference between the two has really transformed my healing and my self-love journey in real time. And in this video, I'm just going to be sharing my epiphany about the two and why I am teaching my brain to embrace and fall completely in love with long-term gratification. This video is part of my series called Lessons in Love, Becoming Whole from Within, where I am taking you guys on my self-love journey, where I am teaching myself how to feel whole and complete without a partner, and just pouring into myself in the ways in which I want others to. So now I'm gonna give my own personal definition between short-term gratification and long-term gratification. Short-term gratification are things that just fulfill the moment, that make you feel good in that moment. It's like short hits of dopamine. It's like quick validation. It fulfills your ego. It fulfills your pride. It makes you feel good about yourself, but it's heavily reliant on the external, whether that is people, things, ideas, materials. Short-term gratification lays the power of your happiness or of your needs and your desires upon things outside of yourself. You're not really in control and you don't really have that much power. Short-term gratification, as girlies, it really puts you in your masculine energy. It pushes you or it positions you to always be in a space of chasing, of trying to get something from other people instead of fulfilling the need and desire within yourself, or relying on yourself to fulfill your needs and your desires. And that can leave you exhausted, tired, frustrated, disappointed. Whereas long-term gratification is gratification that fulfills the soul. Long-term gratification are things that are worth the wait. Things that are only in alignment. Long-term gratification doesn't encourage you to act out of desperation, out of lack, out of ego, out of pride. It allows you to sit back and trust and to believe in the unseen. Long-term gratification is enjoying the journey and the process over the results. So in my opinion, that is the difference between short-term gratification and long-term gratification. So now I'm going to talk about my experience with short-term gratification. I used to be a girl who constantly sought out male validation and attention. I constantly needed it 24/7, whether I was walking on the streets or whether I was in clubs or just wherever. I needed a man to see me, to literally look at me. Then it will validate my idea that I am desirable, that I am livable, and that I am attractive. It was like I always set an agenda to receive attention from a man at least once while I'm outside. And I think that if I didn't tick off that box, then I would leave the club feeling unfulfilled. In my mind, not receiving male validation when I went out clubbing or partying meant that my night was ruined. Even when I did receive male validation or attention, it just felt so surface level. It felt icky. I felt used. I felt like an object to them, and I felt like I was treating myself lower than my worth. There was no self-respect. And so every time I did dance with a man, or I received attention from a man, or a man flirted with me, I didn't feel satisfied from that interaction that I had with them because I was only seeking or desiring something quick. I needed that instant gratification. And I realized that those quick hits of dopamine does not fulfill me. It does not make me feel happy. It does not make me feel good about myself. It's not the type of woman that I want to be as I grow older. Now I'm gonna talk about how I'm teaching my brain to become besties with long-term gratification. Even in this present day, I still struggle choosing long-term gratification. It's a muscle that I'm actively working and working out every day. Choosing between short-term gratification and long-term gratification requires intentional living. and intentional decision making. You can't be passive about it. You have to be really serious, I guess, about wanting to do this in your life. The first thing that I started to do, I started to set and honor boundaries with myself. Because in the past, I knew that if I did whatever a part of me was like seeking external validation for, I knew that it would not make me feel good in the end. I know that I would feel used. I know that I would feel like just like yucky. Like I just know that I wouldn't feel good. I was like, why would I continue to put myself through that emotion of not feeling good if I know that me doing this exact thing, whatever that requires me to seek something outside of myself and place the power in the hands of a man, is something that I no longer am willing to do, because I love myself so much that I don't want myself to go through that over and over again. That's a boundary that I have placed with myself and that I am actively honoring out of self-respect and self-love for myself. Another practice that I've been doing is pausing before acting on impulse. You know, us girlies, there's certain times of the month where things can get a little different, you know what I mean, right? You don't have to take everything too seriously, right? You can like flirt, you can do whatever, like yes, whatever. Everyone has their own like different levels or comfort levels on what they want to do or what they're comfortable doing and what they're not comfortable doing. Thinking before I act has been just mind-blowing. As simple as that, like really thinking before acting on impulse can prevent you from being in situations where you didn't want to be in the first place. Instead of thinking about like the other person, or even just like thinking about whether this like desire to do something will actually make you feel good in the end. I think a question that I like to ask myself is, if I make this decision, does this serve me? Is this in alignment with my highest self? Would my highest self do this? Does this align with my values? Does this align with this version of myself? And so asking questions like, am I dipping into my previous version of myself? It really makes you think. It really makes you choose differently. It really makes you walk differently, act differently. You just embody this like different version of yourself. And if I do feel myself trying to seek something from a man, I ask myself, what is it that I am desiring for him to give to me that I can give to myself right now? That has also been life-changing. I'm constantly asking myself questions every time because I'm so serious about not pedestalizing men, not putting their attention on a pedestal, of not mistaking attention for intention or for love. Like, I'm not playing games with my previous self and I'm not playing games with this version of myself. Another practice that I've been doing is reminding myself of the past outcomes. I literally use my experience, my previous experiences, as a guidebook to my future self and the life that I want to live going forward. Your past can teach you so much, or it can become your worst enemy. You can stay in the same cycles, you can stay in the same karmic relationships or dynamics, like just going through the same things over and over again. And I'm saying this with love. Sometimes it takes multiple times to learn the lesson that you need to learn, or that God and the universe is trying to teach you in that moment, or in those moments where you keep going through the same thing. And sometimes it takes going through things multiple times in order to get it the 5th, 10th, 20th time. I don't know how many times, but sometimes it takes us a long time in order for us to really get that lesson. But because I know that acting out of lack, acting out of desperation, and acting out of the need to receive validation from a man or from other people no longer serves this version of me, I don't move forward with that energy anymore. And another practice that I've been doing a lot is choosing to not self-abandon. And when I say that, I mean when you are giving the power to someone else to make you feel something, you're ultimately abandoning yourself. I've been repeating this in the entire video, but ultimately you're telling yourself that, especially your inner child, that you can't be present enough, or that you don't have the capabilities to internally fulfill the needs that your inner child or that you need in that moment. When you give people the power to satisfy your needs, especially when it's in terms of lack or out of desperation or ego fulfilled, you're running away from your highest self. You're abandoning yourself. Like, you lack self-respect for yourself, so you go and chase and you go and like give up parts of yourself in order to receive whatever that you're trying to receive in that moment. I don't know why this is coming up to my brain right now, but maybe someone needs to hear this. I used to be on dating apps and I did not have a good time on them at all. All of the men that I matched with immediately just were like, do you want to have? They didn't even take the time to get to know me, get to know my character, FaceTime me. They just saw me as a object or thing to fulfill their sexual desires and needs. And it made me feel so bad about myself. I felt like maybe that's all I was meant to do in life, is to fulfill or to be this like sexual object, or just to be like objectified. And I will never be able to meet a man who will be able to see my soul and my character rather than my body, or just view me as a thing to fulfill their sexual desires and needs. I had to really sit down with myself and ask these hard questions. Why was I on dating apps? What was I trying to gain from being on this? And how can I fulfill those needs to myself? And why am I allowing myself to go through this over and over and over again? And I'm not gonna lie, when I first downloaded dating apps, I had a lot of like revealing photos of myself. And so obviously that might have played a role in the type of attention that I attracted. But even after I did like a whole rebrand of my dating profile, I still had a lot of men who still asked me on the first get-go, do you wanna? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I realized that I continued to punish myself and make myself feel bad by being on those apps. I was like, okay, well then I'm done with dating apps. Like, I'm never getting back on it again. And there might be people who are just like, well, you know, that happened once or twice, or like, you know, things could be different. I personally just don't think dating apps are meant for me. I do not like them. I'm a person who loves to get to know the soul of another. I am not with surface level connections or surface level dynamics or surface level anything. One thing about me is that I am a person who sees through pretty things. Pretty things do not impress me. I am not impressed by material things or pretty people. I don't automatically assume that they're good people or that they have good intentions. There is so much to love in being in a relationship than just someone's looks, whether that's them, like their physical appearance, or their clothing, or the material things that they have in their life. I am attracting soul level, deep connections, both platonically and romantically. And dating apps don't do that for me. I can't get to know this person because the first thing that I'm basing them off of is their physical appearance. I'm going to meet someone through being in life. Not being in life, not in the grocery store, that's so cliche. Maybe like I meet them at like a mutual friend gathering, meeting them through events or through something other than through online. Honestly, I really don't think I'm gonna meet my significant other through online. That you never know, but I don't think so. But when I did chase, when I acted out of desperation, need, lack, it led me to really just let go of all self-respect. But I would bend over backwards, I would overcompensate, I would overgive, I would people please, I would do anything. I kind of have this like analogy of like I was a person where like I would be in clubs or be in gathering. There would be like this like energy around me that would scream, please see me, please choose me, please flirt with me. I think that was the energy that I gave off in certain places. Even though I held shame around doing it, I didn't really have the tools or the mindset that I have now to know that like I don't have to do that, but that was definitely the energy that I gave off. So here are some mindsets, core beliefs, and thoughts that I embody on a daily basis. I deserve to feel whole, not stimulated. Waiting doesn't mean I'm lacking, it means I'm trusting. What I'm building now will be even more beautiful than anything that I've chased out of fear and impatience. Delay does not mean denied, it means upgraded. It means things are gonna be better than what I expect it to be. That is the one that I continue to see all the time and that I believe religiously. So now I'm gonna talk about why this matters both in love and in life. I'm at a point in my life where this version of myself, like even like my body, doesn't even allow me to partake in anything that requires me to embody short-term gratification behaviors, actions, or thoughts. I can't even do it even if I wanted to anymore. Even though like I may have like that like small like desire to do it, I ultimately choose long-term gratification. I don't want anything that is less than what I deserve. I don't want anything that makes me feel drained, that makes me feel depleted, that makes me sacrifice my desires and my needs and wants, or gets in the way of my passions and my dreams. And I'm not willing to sacrifice anything that requires me to do that, even if that means I'm not being chosen, desired, loved, or wanted by a person. I have to be in that energy to be chosen. That's not what's in alignment for me. That is not for my highest good. And that's the thing. God has been teaching me that having the ability to have patience, having the ability to trust, to have faith, to believe in the unseen is the key to get everything that you desire. I'm not in a rush to accept breadcrumbs, to accept less than what I deserve. And when you're in a rush, when you're desperate, when you want something so badly that you're willing to accept anything, that's what puts you in these like situations, or with people, or with jobs, or with anything that's not in alignment, because you're acting out of desperation. But when you act out of trust, when you act out of faith, and when you're willing to sit for however God or whatever you believe in tells you to sit for, you just have to trust that it's going to be better than what you expect it to be or what you asked for. And he has continued to show me that over and over again. That is one of the best gifts that he has given me in my 20s, is the gift of like discernment, the gift of patience, the gift of trust, the gift of faith, but mostly the gift of knowing that everything that I desire, it's worthy of waiting for. Why gravitate to something that is not worthy of you? Why gravitate to anything? People, a job, situation, dynamics. Even if you're living in a reality that you're not totally satisfied with, we all have free will. We all have choices. And even if we tell ourselves that no, we don't really have a choice, we have a choice. But it's if we're willing to make that choice, whether we're willing to be brave and courageous, to believe in the unseen, to believe in our dreams, and to know that even if we can't see it in our face, that God, the universe, or your angels, or your spirit team, or whatever you believe in, they see it for you. They're making the path for you. But because you've decided to settle out of lack, to settle out of fear, to settle out of desperation, that path that is just there sitting waiting for you, you can't even see it, or it's not even possible because you're not even giving it a chance. Hopefully that makes sense. And I will give like one example. There was a time where I was looking for a part-time job because I'm a recent undergraduate, and the job market is it's really challenging to get a job right now. I won't say it's impossible. I would say that it's really hard to secure a full-time position that pays you well. And so I moved back home after my internship during the summer, and I was running out of like my savings fund, and I was looking for a part-time job. But I was looking for a part-time job that allowed me to both work a job that paid me more than $18 an hour and gave me the freedom to devote time to my YouTube channel. Since last year, I was like, I want to be serious about content creation, but I also need to have an income just to be able to do things that make me feel happy, to maintain like this high vibrational state of like version of me. And so I applied to a job, and they were like, oh, we're only gonna pay you $16 an hour. First of all, I was like, no, like I don't wanna take it. But even though I had set the intention of getting a job that paid me more than $18 an hour, I was still scared of rejecting this job because I was like, what if there is no other opportunities? What if I run out of my savings? Because it was really low. And all of these what ifs, they are all created out of like a scarcity mindset, a mindset of like lack, a mindset out of fear, a mindset of like what ifs. The what ifs are always gonna be there. I feel like that's always human. But I was like, you know what? I have faith that I'm gonna find a position that takes off all of my boxes and pays me the amount that I know I am worthy and deserving of. With my shaking knees and my like cracking voice, I was like, I declined this offer. I went back on the hunt again, and this time I found two opportunities. One that paid me $24 an hour, but I had to work 40 hours a week and I don't have weekends off. There was another position that paid me $22 an hour and I had much more flexibility and autonomy over the amount of hours I worked. I was able to get commission for both of the positions, but mostly the position that paid me $22 an hour was exactly what I was looking for. And literally when I sat back and I thought about it, I was like, no way did God give me two options that paid me more than what I asked for. But also, he even went a little bit further and gave me the perfect opportunity. The one that paid me $22 an hour plus commission, plus the ability for me to pick and choose my hours, plus for me to have weekends off and the ability to do YouTube. I don't know what could be more perfect than that. And you know what's so crazy, guys? I was still scared to say no to the $24 an hour position because I was like, but the money, like I'll be able to have more money. But then I had to ask myself, does this position fit my needs? Will it serve me? Will it make me feel happy? No, it won't. Sure, I'll get more money, but I'm sacrificing the ability to actively build the dreams of my life. And it's to be a content creator. And it's to live the soft life and not to work like a dog. I don't want to work like a dog. But like that was a perfect example of how patience, trusting, having faith in more, having faith that what you want exists even if you can't see it yet is worth it. It is so worth the wait, especially when it comes to love. I can confidently say that I am going to wait for what I deserve. I am in no rush. My soul knows that I'm not in a rush to be loved romantically by another person because I know that I can give myself the love that I desire even when I get with that person. Like, obviously the experience of being loved by another is different, but the love that you can provide yourself is a lot much more powerful than the love that someone else can give you. And so I can say confidently now, and I know deep down in my bones that me waiting, me continuing to have the boundaries I have, the standards I have, and the dream I have of my significant other, it exists and he's going to be worth the wait. I'm in no rush. I have so many girlfriends who talk about the trifling things that they go through with the men in their lives or their significant others, and I'm not with it. I'm just like, oh wow, like this is the possibilities of what it looks like when you settle. This is the possibilities of what it looks like when you date someone who just likes you back. Like, you know, he likes me, I like him, so let's go out. No, there's so much more to that. Don't settle. We don't settle. Now we're gonna end off with the lesson in love for today's video. The lesson in love is you are worthy of more. You are worthy of consistency, stability, safety. But in order to receive what you are worthy of, you first need to know that it exists. Second, you need to know that you are worthy of what you desire. The hardest part is that you need to have the gut, the ability to reject anything that is less than the standard of what you know that you are worthy of. Even if it scares you, even if you don't know what's next, you do it anyway out of respecting that dream of what you're worthy of. And the hardest part is that you need to know how to say no, how to politely decline, how to walk away, and how to let go of anything that goes against what you know that you are worthy of receiving. You have to know how to decline what you don't want in order to receive what you do want. You have to stand 10 toes down on believing in the unseen, saying no to less than, saying no to what you know you don't deserve in order to receive what you do deserve. I know it's easier said than done, but you just have to have patience, you have to have trust, and you have to have faith in that dream of what you're worthy of. Whether it doesn't have to be love, it could be career-wise, it could be friendship-wise, it could be anything that you desire. An idea, it doesn't matter what it is. It exists because you believe it exists, and it's just you giving power to that dream and respecting that dream and saying no to anything that comes your way, because you tell the universe, you signal to God that you know that what you desire is out there. When you say no to things that your previous self would have said yes to and it scares you, that's how you know that you're making a difference and that you're actually changing, because that's what's happening with me. So thank you, my lover girlies, my romantic girlies, my head in the cloud girlies, my girlies in my 20s, all of my girlies. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for getting it, like making it to the end of this video. This video was longer than what I expected it to be, especially if you made it this far. Thank you. You'll definitely like the other videos that are part of the series here. I just want to send so much love, so much positivity, so much light to your way, and have a good day, have a good night, have a good evening. Bye.